Hello, um, Pavel.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't see you there. No, literally, I was looking at the window. Yeah. Hi.
Okay, perfect. So this is our first normal live stream this year because the last one was an announcement of iBookBinding Podcast Awards of sorts or something like that, and it was a lot of fun to talk about all of these amazing bookish people and show some of their work and find out that some of them got much more attention from our colleagues and the guests of iBookBinding podcast, and well, quite deserved, I guess. But from now on, we return to our standard schedule. We'll talk about some exhibitions, some bookish objects, some book history, sometimes even about news. We announced that we will talk about news today, but it seems that we're not. We wouldn't have enough time for that, so sorry. But there is a lot of interesting stuff to talk about besides news. So I hope you all will be. Okay, Pavel, like a real podcaster now has a microphone in front of him. That sounds
Hopefully, I don't deafen you with my voice. So.
okay. And well, as usual, if you have any questions, any comments, please leave them. We read both YouTube and Facebook feeds, so we will try to reply or to react or to I don't know what. And if you're ready to share with us from which country, from which region you join us today, that would be also nice. It's always quite interesting and fun to see how. People from different countries are watching our podcast today. We are streaming during the European evening, so we hope that some people from the Americas will join us. We had some visitors from Brazil, from Argentina, from Chile, as far as I remember, during the previous streams, and well, of course, from the United States and from Canada. Hopefully there will be somebody with us today. So probably you saw the our teaser or something. We are going to talk about this thing, an invitation to buy some vintage and antique books in a Soviet store, and we'll talk about the story of this invitation and the things we found out or hope that we found out and devised out of our research into this small booklet. And but we have some other things as well. Pavel prepared some photos, and he visited another exhibition recently, well, as Pavel does. So and yeah.
Weren't you gonna show us some new instrument of yours, or am I?
Yeah. I think we'll start with calendar.
Calendar. Yeah.
With calendar, and then we'll move forward to a new punching tool, punching cradle, and after that, I guess we'll switch to our main topics, the exhibition and this invitation. So as usual, if you like what we do, please subscribe, please share our videos, please join the crowd on Patreon, which is really crucial for us when new people join the crowd, because money that come from our patrons on Patreon allow us to edit our podcast and pay for the editing of the podcast. So that's really important, and we appreciate your input quite a lot. So Pavel will talk for a moment. I will need to switch on another camera, and then I'll show you something.
What will it be? Are you gonna show us the calendar?
Yeah, the calendar.
Okay, and just as a teaser, just to say what I actually visited, I visited a library 300 meters from the Kremlin wall, uh, and it is a home to one of Russia's and Europe's biggest collection of uh, what they call Eastern Oriental, which is both vague and antiquated manuscripts and
Yeah.
books. Um, I don't know. When you hear something like an exhibition of Oriental manuscripts, you don't expect it to be any good, but it was.
Yeah.
I can see you, and I
So
can see the calendar. Or
you
am I
can.
the only one?
You are the only one. Yeah. For now, I'll need to uh, switch some stuff from the. Yeah. Just give me a moment, and everything should be maybe, hopefully, I don't know. Here we are. Yeah. Perfect. So everybody now, now everybody can see it. I got this calendar properly to open it like this because this is the cover. I got this calendar some time ago. I think already after the vacation, and it's a project by Leszek Knirek, a colleague of ours who is currently studying in the United Kingdom and has an interesting has a lot of interest in presses. So I think people from bookbinding communities have seen his photos of his presses and of his collection, and so he decided to um, make a calendar this year, and this is an experiment for him. And he launched Kickstarter, which ends in 3 days, and it seems that there will be no chance for the Kickstarter to reach its goal, but still there is a video presentation there, so you can watch it, and I will go through this calendar so that you can see it. And but also the calendars are already printed, and you can buy them via eBay, and Pavel will share both links. I think two of the links in chat. So if you're interested, you'll find the links. And yeah, that's pretty amazing. And presses always attract a lot of attention when you post them on Instagram. That's my wife is in charge of our Instagram. So in or would I say in charge of editing and choosing the front photos and all these things that are most important for getting more likes and more traction for the post. And we've been discussing quite recently that you share something important, you share some story, some old books or something, and they get I don't know, a couple of hundred likes and nothing more. And then you share one photo of a vintage press, and it gets 1,000 of likes or something like that. So it's even I guess it's too easy to share just photos of presses, but well,
Especially
so
when they're photographed like that. And what kind of age would something like that be? Are they all 19th century, or are some of them earlier?
Well, I think some of them should be even from the 20th century, and but yeah,
Whoa.
something like these cast iron presses are a bit older. I don't think there are many of them older than from the 19th century, and most of these ones, as far as I understand, are copying presses, so they're not really bookbinding presses, even while they are used by bookbinders. But some of them are really amazing. I have only 3 presses in my collection, and that's already something. And
That your wife complains about, you wanted to say?
Well, not really. They stay away from our walking paths. But yeah, she I guess she's less happy with lots of books about books. That's something she complains about from time
So,
to time.
so since you own perhaps not something as impressive as this, but still, you can probably also tell us what kind of prices these things get.
Well, I should say that I have one of the presses I have is I think I can find something pretty similar in this calendar, and just to give you an impression. And yeah, just a moment. Um, which one? So yeah, I guess something sort of similar to this, and I was quite lucky to buy it for 25 euros, which is insanely cheap. Another press, a larger one, which I used. This first one is smaller one, so I don't really use it quite often because the opening is not wide enough for most of my projects. The other one is larger, and I bought it for 60 euros or something like that, which is also cheap. I bought it from a bookseller whom I know, and he was ready to get rid of this press. And but usually when you see them online on eBay or something, they are sold for 200 euros or something like that, and that's a pretty insane price. I would never pay something like that for a press like this. So
And how much do they weigh? Say cast iron one for an A4 book. What would they?
So I remember I bought the first one in Utrecht and in the Netherlands, and I found it in a thrift shop or in a vintage store, and I had IKEA bag with me. So I put it in this IKEA bag because holding it in hands and bringing from one city to another and to train station, from train station to our home, I didn't have a car. It wasn't easy, and IKEA bag helped me a bit, but it broke in the end. It tore up absolutely into these stripes, and it weighed something like 16 or 18 kilograms, as far as I remember. So yeah, if you are going to buy a press like this one, you should probably go with a car. And that's what I did with the second press, and it was a much easier process. Sometimes you can find them on flea markets or estate sales or something like that, and usually they are much more cheaper there. But and I guess that's where you should look for them if you want to buy one for a reasonable price, because well, there are obviously people who are buying them for 150 200 euros or something like that, but if you're ready to wait several months and to look around and to search for them, for to hunt for them, that may be an interesting project. So
and sorry, and the modern one would cost about as much, if not more, I assume.
I think last time I checked, I still lived in Russia, and I checked for some presses, and they cost something like 35,000 rubles, and at that moment it was something like 800 euros or something like that. So yeah, they can be pretty expensive.
So it just doesn't make sense to buy a new one.
Yeah, especially if it works well. And of course, the old one can be broken. The screw can be damaged or something like that. But usually, they just need some maintenance and some nice greasing, and then they should work. Some people buy old ones, old rusty ones, clean them up, and make them beautiful again. Sometimes you can see these conservation projects which are not really conservation projects, where too much old stuff is removed, and it's more like a, renovation of sorts or something. I don't know, but yeah. I think I can switch the. Oh, Pavel, I also sent you a link to eBay via Telegram.
No, you didn't. Uh,
Check
yeah,
check the last
I
link,
see it. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, please share it as well. So here it is, amazing calendar, and I got it for free. But even if I had to pay for it, I would be not even if I had to pay for it. But well, in any case, I'd be happy to share some images of this calendar, and to invite you to check it on eBay. I guess not on Kickstarter, because probably Kickstarter wouldn't work out, but on eBay, and buy one, and it should absolutely change your working space if you have something like that there. Let me switch back, and
Meanwhile, I would like to say hi to Carla from coastal California. So it's who's having tea at 8 a.m. Well, good morning to you, ma'am, and have a nice day. Yeah, I'm on water already.
yeah, on water. Okay.
Yeah.
I have some very diluted tea. So yeah. And
So this was that, and now I assume we can talk about your new tool, which
yeah.
I really wanted to see.
Should I switch back to this downward
No,
looking camera, or should it work like this?
I think it will work just fine. But that's a good idea. We should always keep your phone connected.
Yeah. So we have this punching cradle. Probably many of our viewers have already seen it. So you can place a signature inside, and then with an awl you can punch holes, so that when you're sewing your book, all the holes will be level, and sewing would be accurate, and stitching would be following the same line. And I have several variations of this tool, different sizes, different lengths, different steps, different distances between the holes, in millimeters, in inches, and there are more advanced versions, and there are simpler versions. But some time ago, I got a request from a customer to create a different version of this tool, and it's this V-shaped structure, so it's much lighter, and
And it doesn't have a base.
easier to produce. And that's something I'll talk about in a moment. But firstly, some people have a cradle, or for example, something like this. I made this cradle from laminated flooring, or I'm not sure how it's called in English, but yeah, that in the days when I had my woodworking workshop, I made it with a router, and it has this almost Space Invader like legs. And so yeah, I have two of these punching two. It's not punching cradle, it's punching guide, I guess. I have two of them, longer and shorter at the moment, so you can place a sheet of paper and the cradle over there, and punch your holes. So if you have a cradle, that's a cheaper option to buying a full set, a full tool with a cradle and a guide. And yeah, they're not yet added to the shop. I'll do that later this week, but they will be cheaper than obviously they will be cheaper than the standard punching cradle we sell, and Yeah, I'm not.
And also in your favorite color.
Yeah, one of my favorite colors. But you asked if you can use them without a punching cradle, and my answer, I guess, is yes, because you can. I need something. It would have been easier to show it from above, I guess. Okay, just let me take a board. So you can place it on a table surface, and then you can punch holes just following the 45-degree angle to the surface. Probably you should do it on cardboard, not on wood, not on cutting mat, because otherwise you will puncture a lot of holes in your surface. But yeah, I usually did it on some offcuts of cardboard when I worked with book covers. You always have a lot of offcuts. But yeah, you can just place the sheet on a surface, and the hole itself is printed in a way that it sort of guides your all at a 45-degree angle. It's not, I guess, it's not deep enough to guide it perfectly well, but it's good enough so that you will follow the hole and get the puncture right through the fold of the signature. So yeah, that's it. Soon in our shop, and there will be once again different sizes. So it's, I guess, the shortest one will be this one, to 22 centimeter long. Then larger 31 centimeter long, maybe some other sizes as well, and of course different distances, because this one has 5 millimeter distance between. Can you see? Yeah, five
Just
millimeter
about, yeah.
5 millimeter distance between the holes, and there will be a quarter of an inch, half inch, 10 millimeters, and 15 millimeters, as usual, as with the other punching tools, punching cradles that iBookBinding sells. And yeah, yeah.
By the way, I've been meaning to ask you, do people use these smaller distance between holes at all? Because I've never seen books that would be sewn this tightly. Because I mean, usually, yeah, there are a few stitches. Why would he need
It's
to?
it's more about having an opportunity to place to make holes at some locations that you prefer, than about having a lot of holes. I saw some bindings that had a lot of stitching, and but yeah, usually there are something like 3 or 4 or 5 stations, not more. But if you have more holes in your punching cradle, in your punching tool, this gives you a choice where you make the holes, closer
That's another
to
thing
head
I
and
wanted
tail
to.
or further away. Yeah,
That's another thing I wanted to ask you. Why would you choose one? I mean, why not just make holes always in the same place, like for 4 sets of stitches here, 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 and here? Why
because
would you
because
prefer
different
one thing
different
to
people
another?
have different preferences.
Why? I mean,
Because why not?
is it purely aesthetical, or could it somehow influence the structure of the book? I mean,
Well, there are some. It's not purely aesthetical, because you usually don't see it. You don't see the stitching, unless it's long stitch binding, or I don't know, Coptic binding or something like that. Binding with exposed spine, or binding with exposed stitching, which are not the same, because, well, long stitch binding, you saw through the cover. But in hardcover books, you usually don't see the stitching, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have any aesthetical value or something. There are some ideas about how far the first first stitching should be from head and tail of the book, because you need some reinforcement there. But other than that, I understand there are no real no real reasons for this or that way of stitching, and well, there will be difference. For example, for a larger book, you want to show on 5 stations, because it will hold your book better. For smaller book, you can show on 3 stations, and it would be enough for a smaller book. But other than that, the exact position of the holes wouldn't really matter so much. So it's just a matter of personal preference, and because obviously I can ask each customer on which distance you prefer to have the holes, but then books can be different sizes. So one day you are making a smaller book, the next day you are making a larger book, and you want to keep the distance from head and tail the same. So you have lots of holes and lots of options to make holes, of positions to make holes in.
And you have them numbered, so you can just write down the numbers, and you'll have the same.
If you need to replicate an older project, or if you have a project that you repeat from time to time, you can just remember or write down the numbers of the holes, and it's much easier to follow the same pattern, the same structure next time. Exactly.
Now I know everything.
Now you need to go and make a book.
It's been a while.
So that's it for announcements, I guess. And should we move on to your exhibition visit, or what's next for us today?
I'm dying to talk about the thing that you got.
Yeah, okay. So you don't want to talk yet. Okay, so we should probably switch so that you will be able to show some photos, and I will be able to.
Can I do that already?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
It glitched. So I can also show this on a smaller screen. And by the way, I wanted to ask our viewers if the sound is more even this time, because during our last live stream I was much louder than Pavel, and I'm sure that's not the best way to listen to our live streams. I think I fixed that issue, but I'm not absolutely sure.
I'm also being extremely intimate with my mic today.
So if you can share your opinion in the comments, it would be nice. This is a small booklet. I have pamphlet, I think. You can, and so what's the size? 12 and a half by 11 centimeters. So it's a bit larger than palm sized, and that's something I got from a bookseller from the Netherlands. I bought some things dedicated to Soviet and Eastern European ex-libris from him, some books and some ex-libris as well. And when I ordered some more stuff from him this December, I bought something I want to show you during one of our next live streams. So it will be part of our bookish stuff section of our live stream, but not today. So he sent this one, and told in a note that his wife found this thingy, and he sent it because he sent it to me because it's Soviet invitation, and so here it is unfolded. and it's an invitation to visit antique bookshop, an antique bookshop, and this invitation printed in 3 languages. So here is English, and then there is German, and then there is French, and an invitation to visit bookstores, bookshops in Moscow and Leningrad. Leningrad is the old name of St. Petersburg, of the second Russian capital. So it's already pretty unusual to see an invitation printed in foreign languages, obviously targeted to foreign people who are buying Soviet books, Soviet antique books. During modern times, it's just I think it's almost unthinkable to find something like that, because we talked about it quite a lot, because to take out of the country a vintage book which is something older than 50 years, you have to get a special permission from the Ministry of Culture nowadays. And otherwise, if you don't do that, you can have some problems with the customs officials. And if you want to export an antique book which is 100 years old or older, you cannot do that. There is no way you can do that, because it's prohibited to remove antique items from Russia. Well, maybe there are ways, but firstly, some of them are not legal, are illegal, and we definitely do not recommend you doing something like that. And some other ways, I don't know about some exchanges or something like that. No. Of course, you can take out objects for temporary exhibitions or something like that, but that's absolutely different story. So obviously there was a moment in time when Soviet antiquarian sellers, and when I'm saying Soviet antiquarian sellers, I don't mean private businesses, of course. It's all of this is about government-owned entities. We were quite happy to sell some stuff abroad. And maybe Pavel will share a bit more information about this time, because he's definitely more prepared than I am to talk about that.
Yeah, we should probably note the name of this organization. Where is it?
Yeah.
Here it is. Международная книга антиквариат. So International Book Antiquariat, Antiques. Yeah. And it's a strange combination, because it is a product of uniting two organizations together, and one of them is very well known. It only closed like 20 years ago,
10 years ago, I think
10 years ago, yeah. Even. So International Book, Международная книга, it's a very well-known name. It worked all through the Soviet times and in early post-Soviet Russia. But the second part, the antiquariat part, that's an interesting one. This is an institution, I don't know, it's an organization.
Both of them, as far as I remember, were designated as Всесоюзное общество, all union society, or something like. How do you call Всесоюзный in English? I wanted to check, and I absolutely forgot about it. Well, you'll continue talking, and I will check the dictionaries.
So they are both commercial organizations working throughout the country, or at least having a right to work throughout the Soviet Union. And the antiquariat one.
So all union. The dictionary offers all union or all Soviet. So all Soviet society or all union society.
And this all Soviet society had some very dark roots, as me and Stepan and me, that's English, not Russian. Stepan and me
Stepan and I.
So we got somewhat obsessed with this object over this last week, and we found out that this society was specifically formed to sell the collections of Russian museums abroad. And at some point, they realized that since there is an organization selling books from Russian museums abroad, why not unite it with people who are selling
Other stuff.
painting, furniture,
Yeah.
and whatnot? And
I should probably mention that firstly, during the early Soviet years and early years of the communist Russia, there was this idea that the history and cultural objects of the imperialistic Russia doesn't really matter anymore. So the country and people can easily dispose of them and make some money at the same time. And of course, there were lots of shady stuff happening around this, and some very important cultural and historical objects were lost forever for our country, and probably for the global society as well, because some of them are definitely now closed in some private collections, and you never find, never hear about them anymore. And there was another connection with we talked about Max Brothers for quite a lot during our previous live streams, and at some moments they helped to bring Codex Sinaiticus to London and to make it available for wider public. And well, that's lucky ending for this story, because it could have ended up in some private collection once again. But yeah, they also had some relations with these structures, and lucky them.
and this book, I know I said it before, but I'm personally offended. I find it a crime against me personally that they sold Codex Sinaiticus
Yeah.
to England. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't sell things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
You just don't. They exist as one. There are no other books like that. It may well be a book that was ordered by Emperor Constantine. It may well be one of the very first modern codices. I mean, there used to be small-ish, at least, codices in Imperial Rome before the Christian times, but clearly, Codex, as we know it, was invented to contain 4 books of the Bible. And this may well be the very first experiment, and it's not in Russia anymore. And it wasn't easy to get it here in the first place. Russian antiquarians and historians helped to discover and publish it in the 19th century. A campaign was organized. The Tsar donated some money. More money was collected among the reading public. Well, again, you can imagine what sort of people.
What sort of public? Yeah.
Yes. And then they sold it. Okay, they sold it for quite a lot of money for the time.
Yeah.
100
pounds. 100,000 pounds. Yeah.
So, which is like a couple of houses nowadays, I assume, even in Moscow. So it's still lots of money. But was this to be sold nowadays? It would be what, 100 times bigger than that, at least. Nobody knows. It would be in the hundreds of millions.
As many other cultural objects, including books and antique books, antiquarian books that were sold during this period. This shouldn't have happened. And Soviet power, Soviet people who made decisions in Soviet Union are to be blamed for that, and that's a very unfortunate turn of events. On the other side, I'm quite happy that Max Brothers took part in this transaction, and nowadays this book is still available, and well, it's in the UK, but it's still available, and that's the happy moment of the story. But
And about less famous books, we should also probably notice that quite a few books sold through this shop weren't given by the public willingly.
voluntarily, yeah.
Yeah, I found a contract that you signed when you agreed to sell your books through this shop, and most of those contracts are not contracts, but you give it as a gift to the Soviet nation to be sold in this shop. So I assume some people did sell their collections to survive, but some people just lost their collections and they were dispersed through this evil firm. But let's look at what this shop actually looked like. So we found a few. Oh, by the way, so no, we'll get back to this. Sorry. So here it is. It was located. We couldn't find any photograph of the time that would feature the name of this particular shop, but we know where it was. It was inside this building, Torksin, which is trade
with foreigners.
Trade with foreigners, yeah. Like so many Soviet
names. It's an abbreviation, yeah.
And
I should probably add that for this part of our research, I asked a friend of mine who is a philatelist, and he collects stamps. And I did that because Межкнига, Международная книга, the international book, was besides selling books and magazines abroad, it's for many years it was famous for selling stamps, and also some very special stamps as well. So I asked him if he knows anything about this location, and he told me that probably it should be Tarksin location on Petrovka, and there is some not ambiguity, but uncertainness there, because this is so it's located in the very center of Moscow. Большой Theater is 100 meters away from this location, and Pavel maybe can point on the map. So Большой Theater will be somewhere near number 2 in the bottom of the
just about around here.
Yeah,
so a few hundred meters basically.
Yeah. And so the address is Petrovka 6 for this shop, for this Tarksin shop. It's a corner shop. And then the address in the invitation that I have is Petrovka 10. So it's two buildings away. And we found that at Petrovka 10, Pavel found a document that shows this address, Petrovka 10, associated with Tarksin as well. So it seems that they had two locations, and maybe even one location connected through the buildings, because it's an old Moscow neighborhood where many buildings are interconnected between each other. So probably they even had some ways to go between Petrovka 6 and Petrovka 10. Probably we don't really know at the moment, at least. That's what we found. And Pavel.
And I really like the photos of the time. All the photos I'm showing you are from the 30s, so from roughly the time when this invitation was made. And here it is. Here we are trading with foreigners for their selling our cultural heritage for their buck or for their pound, I assume. And just next to it is what do you call demonstration of workers calling and a call to action: do go and re-elect our leaders.
For re-election. Yeah, workers and
Workerettes.
workers and workerettes. Yeah, workers and workerettes. Everybody to the re-elections. The most democratic country in the world.
And note how we have horses here, but on just next to it we also have cars. So it's an interesting moment in history. Here we have, I think, horses again and Soviet policemen. And we also have a couple of photos from inside. This one is not from this shop, but something very like it would have been in it. This one, by the way, is also from Torksin, from trading with foreigners from Odessa.
Mm-hmm.
So in Odessa, they were selling what looks like 19th century recreations of Renaissance tapestries, if not the originals. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Because they have captured a number of Jewish collections in the 20s in Odessa. So this might be a part of those. But anyway,
they had multiple locations in different major cities throughout the Soviet Union. As we mentioned already, in Moscow, there were several locations, and at least for Meshkniga, definitely there were several locations. I don't know about Torksin. I think also
Torksin, the trade with foreigners. The one part of this legacy that I'm aware of are there not even shops, but open air markets in the port towns. Odessa and Sevastopol and places like that had these stalls, basically stalls, mm-hmm. With souvenirs and also often antiques too. I have some old family photographs from my grandfather who visited Soviet Union for the first time as a tourist in the 50s, I think. And
I guess we should mention that he was a Bulgarian.
No, he was Armenian, but
Armenian.
Yeah, he was from Bulgaria.
Okay,
yeah.
Armenian from Bulgaria. So, because he visited Soviet Union, and you are now in Russia, and it's like, what?
And here is one of only two photos I managed to find from inside the antiquarian part of this shop. Where the books were, I couldn't tell you. Probably they weren't on show.
Maybe that's why there was a separate address for Meshkniga for that part of the trade on Petrovka 10.
But you can see it did look. It wasn't too shabby, not at all. I mean, okay, not Odessa level, but still. So that's what this place looked like. And we should mention that while we were searching for the exact date for this brochure, because as you can see, there are no dates here. So all we had to go on was the name, which is this strange double-decker construction,
which helped us quite a lot because
because in the end we managed to find that it only existed from 1934 to 1936.
Torksin operated from 1932 to 1936. Международная книга and Antiquariat were joined in the period between in a very similar period. I'm not sure about the exact dates, but something like what Pavel said. And after that, they dropped the part Antiquariat from. So before that, there were two separate organizations: All Union Society, Международная книга, International Book, and All Union Society, Antiquariat. And then they were joined, and they operated for several years under this joint name. And then Antiquariat part was dropped, and Международная книга survived as a singular entity and continued working with books, stamps, postcards, and some other similar objects.
Yeah, and there was also a squiggle that you could read as 35.
So I found the engraver's mark, and by the way, the same engraver's mark is on the cover.
And I totally missed that.
Yeah, it's in the left
Yeah, here
bottom corner as well.
Yeah.
So we were. It's probably there is letter A, Russian letter A. Probably there is K. We are not sure about that, and there is definitely something looking like 35. So
I'd say 35-ish.
It doesn't look like any other dates that could be in the vicinity, you know. So I guess it's 35. It definitely doesn't look like anything after World War II. So it definitely not 55, because initially we thought that's due to the fashion of people in this engraving. It may be a later engraving, but none of the dates fit the profile of the digits. So I guess it's 35, and
I have to say, the menacing man in this picture, they both look like they are from a noir film.
yeah.
I mean, the one on the right, I'm sure he has a gun.
So he's a KGB agent.
and she may or may not be his willing assistant.
So probably 35, and this also fits into this date range we devised for Межкнига Antiquariat, Международная книга Antiquariat, and also we found that there was a mention of the second address, which is in Leningrad, in modern St. Petersburg, is 24 Herzen Street. And nowadays it's, I think it's Moscow and Leningrad, Sea Embarkment 24. And on this address, I found only one mention in the phone book that there was the Antiquarian bookshop in 1937, which also sort of fits the time range. And and before that there was a location of Antiquariat Society at the same place. So, and then they were joined, and Межкнига survived, and probably it didn't survive the blockade of Leningrad during the World War II, because after the war there are no mentions of any antiquarian bookstore, antiquarian bookstores in this building. But
the wholesale selling of Russian museum stores stopped in 1937, not so much because Stalin was ashamed of himself as because he shot most of the people who did it.
Yeah, because 1937 is kind of important moment for Soviet history, where another season of chistkas, of purges started, and a lot of people were wrongfully convicted. A lot of people were wrongfully terminated, killed by Soviet government, and I guess both on Pavel's side and on my side and my wife's side, there are people who were touched by this period, or by this.
And at least
I'm at loss of words, and
so many people just disappeared.
Yeah.
about two of our relatives, we still know nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's sort of that's sort of an ending that this story gets, very dark ending, I guess. And
but there
but
is a postscript.
there is more to tell about it, and we found some other objects as well. But still, that was the initial our initial guess that this invitation was published and issued between 1935 and 1937, and then we were able to limit it to 1935 to 36 because of the Torksin, because of the joint action of Международная книга Antiquariat, because of all of it. So probably it's somewhere between 1935 and 1936. So a pretty old invitation. And an interesting object and a sort of bookish object as well. So we didn't miss out on our bookish objects section this week. But I also found on the online auction another thing related to the same society, Международная книга, and I asked Pavel to pick it up in Moscow, and it's. Yeah, and it's this sort of postal card. Does it have the same name in English, Frankatip, or did you check it?
I just found what it's called. No, Frankatip is a French, German, and Russian term.
So meter stamp, meter stamp, or meter mark.
Stamp. Yeah,
and
but it can be called a franc for
franc. Okay.
So all the marks post office leaves on the card are called francs.
So this is Frankatip, or meter stamped, I guess, card. From this society international book, from society or union or organization international book, Международная книга, sent to a person in France. Obviously, you sell to people outside of Russia. The person has somewhat Russian sounding surname, Ilensky. Well, at least Eastern European. I wasn't able to find any mentions of a person with this initial and this surname anywhere online. I was able to find this address, 28 Rue Manori. It's suburbs of Paris. There is
sort of towards the north, towards Saint-Denis.
North, yeah, it's across the Seine on the northwest, and there is a mistake in a town name. There should be S at the end of Colombe. Anyway, French people wouldn't pronounce it, so it's Bois Colombe. In any case, but yeah, they didn't put it there.
What a shock of French people not pronouncing letters.
Yeah, and I found this building. I'm not sure if it's the same building that was in 1920s, 1930s, but anyway, I wasn't able to find the person. And if Pavel shows us the backside of this card, there is a standard note info about how do you translate хозяйство? Locomotive industries, so magazine of locomotive industries.
And I have an image of it. Yeah.
Pavel, so this person in France requested 2 issues of industrial professional magazine of locomotive industries, and he got, or she, we were not sure, they got a reply that the two issues of the magazine were sent to them, but the third issue isn't printed yet, so they'll have to wait a bit more.
I really like the fact that he used this organization to order a very, very niche and a very new thing. It was published in 1934, and he ordered it in 1935.
1935, yeah, yes, it's stamped by 1945.
And we should note that it wasn't some mainstream big publication. In the end of this particular issue of this journal, we find a list of all the journals published by this publisher, and I mean, it goes even more niche than.
So, locomotive industry, carriage industry,
industry. I mean,
railroads,
imagine that.
Railroads, exploitation of railroads, signaling systems, electric. How do you say electrification? Electrifying of the railroads. Yeah, everything.
And
right?
even a separate journal for HR people in the railroad industry.
for Soviet HR people.
And my absolutely favorite one on the bottom right, technical propaganda.
Technical propaganda.
Twice a month. I mean, twice a month.
Yeah. Everything else once a month, and technical propaganda is twice a month.
Important. Yeah.
So. Yeah, it was also a fun connection to this story, and I should say that I definitely heard international book Международная книга mentioned before, but I didn't know almost anything about its connection to stamps, to books, to antiquarian sales. But it was really interesting to dive into this story and find some new information for myself and to share it with you. And once again, this is what I love about old stuff and old brochures and old books, is that we can see. You should show it before in front of your face, because otherwise we can see it. So now Pavel has it, and I'll grab it from him a bit later this year.
From my dead hands.
But it's always fun to find these stories behind these bookish objects, and this what makes all of this so important and interesting to me, and that's why when I find some small pieces of paper or some notes or some comments on the margins of the books that can tell you something about the previous owners, I'm so happy, and I'm glad to do some small research. In any way, it wasn't a professional research, because we definitely should go to archives, check the addresses, check the info on both of these organizations, or three organizations, Torksin, Международная книга, and Antiquariat. But we did what was available for us through internet, especially as I'm far away from Moscow, and there is, by the way, the fifth wave at the moment, so you probably shouldn't wander around too much.
Which is why you sent me to the other end of the city to get this today. Yeah, I know. And we should
you go to work anyway.
I know. We should also probably note why this was available online. I mean, why would somebody sell it, and why would somebody other than you buy it? The whole reason for that is this mark on the top right, the CCCP one. This is what's called what did you say it was called in English?
Just a moment. Here it is, some meter stamp or meter mark.
Meter stamp. So this is called Francotype, Francotype, or meter mark in other languages, and it was meant to replace postage stamps, and it has some interest for people collecting stamps. There is even a term for people who collect this kind of marks, but it's extremely difficult to find their societies because it's called mechanophilia,
Mm-hmm.
mechanophile. And if you Google that, which you shouldn't,
Okay, I can guess.
yeah. All kind of manga pops up, and yeah. Okay, so anyway, and I found the very machine. I don't mean the particular that machine, but that kind of model. Yeah, it can be. The machine is called franking machine, and there are people who collect them, but mostly for some reason in Germany and China. And on a German museum website, I found this wonderful construction. So you could stamp up to 1,000 envelopes an hour, or something like that, or
But it's mechanical.
2,000. Yeah, yes, it is mechanical, of
Okay.
course, but it's certainly faster than adding stamps. And people who collect this kind of thing, they are interested in francotypes, marking stamps added by different organizations who could do it, because it wasn't just postal office that could do it. In Soviet Union, there was also 5 or 6 organizations, including the International Book, that could
that were allowed.
stamp.
That were allowed
Yeah, that were allowed to add.
to frank the postal.
Yeah. So that was another thing I didn't know before we started on this project. So it was a sad journey because, well, what do you expect from the 1930s? But it was
Yeah,
also,
because the whole mix of stuff related to selling the national treasure to foreigners, to ending the story in the year of the Great Purge in Soviet Union, and right before the World War II. But other than that, it's an interesting story and interesting dive, and I'm so glad that we were able to jointly, work on this project, and not only talk about it, but I did my part of research here through the web, via web, and Pavel was able to pick up this francotype, and that's fun.
and perhaps one day we could make a follow-up, because there is quite a lot of literature published on this topic, but mostly in the 90s, when the interest was high and the archives had just been opened up to researchers.
Yeah.
There are books in English, but they are not available online either, and all the Soviet and post-Soviet books can only be found in libraries. And I really wonder if we could find any other ephemera from the shop. It couldn't have been the only booklet they published.
Yeah.
And there is an ephemera reading room in the Russian State Library with boxes and boxes of barely categorized ephemera from the
Yeah.
1930s alone, and they are sort of categorized by by the topic. So there are ephemera about books. I saw these 10 boxes, and you can come and take them and lose yourself in them, and perhaps one day we'll do just that.
Well,
So
I will definitely be on the lookout when I'm looking on different objects online, and on book markets and flea markets, because even before that, I was always looking for Cyrillic and specifically Russian objects, Russian books, and other objects as well on book markets and flea markets, because it was sort of my mission to save them from booksellers who don't know and can't read Cyrillic. And of course, I didn't buy modern books because they hold almost no value or no interest or no story beside them. But older objects like this one, I would definitely grab. But it's such a huge, great, and an impossible and incredible chance that this person, this Dutch person, sent me this invitation, and we were able to find this story behind it.
And if you ever talk to them again, say thanks.
I think I will send the link to this video. Maybe they will be interested to listen to it and to find out how the story ended. So yeah, many thanks to Roland, and that was really nice. Yeah, definitely, both of them. So do
this
we
is
move
it
on?
for this part, I think.
Yeah, this is it for this part. And how much time do you need for the exhibition part?
I'm gonna say that I should probably do it next time.
I don't know if you have enough work. There are some comments. Some more comments there.
Oh, and
I cannot see
Facebook. Can I stop sharing my screen then? Because it's strange that you are reading the comments on my screen with everybody. Yeah. So, so franking is used in America. Yeah.
Well, it is used in so this is sort of looks like franking,
and it is, yeah.
And so it's used in the modern world as well. But I'm not sure if there are any organizations beside the postal office in Russia who can frank letters nowadays. I don't know how it works.
I know that in most democratic countries, it's only president's office or something like that who can do that. I know that the White House still has their own franking rights, and
but then in the modern world, you can print special codes on your envelopes on your home printer, and it will work like a postage, like paid postage. So, is it similar to that process? I don't know. I think there are some technicalities which would say this one is franking and this one isn't franking. It's different process, and well, we should probably ask some people who know at least something about this topic. Let me open our Facebook comments feed just so that I can see it, because as usual my Facebook stream glitched, and so we have something like 15 minutes left if we plan to follow our 90 minutes schedule. If we don't want to follow it, do we want to talk about the exhibition or not? Let's put it this way.
I do, but it's gonna take more than 15 minutes. So so let's do it next time. I can perhaps show a few images as a teaser for the next time and tell a bit about what I saw.
Okay, let's do it this way.
So I'll share my screen again.
You can't let me rest even for a moment. Yeah.
So how did I get here? Yeah. So a few words about where I went. I went to this wonderful building that is in one of the hottest places, hottest real estate places in Moscow, the very center, 200 meters from the Kremlin's wall. It's been the center for the Eastern literature for quite a while now, and since early 2000s, I guess. They've been staging multiple exhibitions. They are always very small, like one or two rooms, and they always only last for a couple of months tops, because it's books and you can't show them for long, which means that every time I go there I see a new exhibition. And this time, oh, by the way, I like on their official page they have these photographs of their cataloging system, and I absolutely have to show you what those catalogs look up close. I can't read. Oh no, this one I can read. It's Vietnamese. Yeah. So this is Georgian.
Georgian, yeah.
But here they do give you the Russian pronunciations for the letters. I really like this one about Armenian language with Lenin to Lifshitz bang in the middle, and I really like the letters. But anyway, and there is Azerbaijani language, a whole catalog for that, and there is one for Arabic. And here they just, I mean, why bother? If you don't know Arabic, why would you use a catalog for Arabic books? But it was a strange feeling going through the cataloging system and not understanding a word of it. So anyway, oh, and there's Persian, and there's Turkish, and there's whatnot. So where I went was to an exhibition devoted to this wonderful project. If you could give the link to it. Unfortunately,
just a moment.
It's only in Russian, but you don't need to understand the language, or you can automatically translate it. The project is the first stage of scanning, digitizing the 150 oldest, or at least most important books in this collection. And when I say oldest, I mean oldest. They are mostly printed books, but since they are Eastern printed books, including Chinese printed books, they start from something like 12th century for the dated examples, and maybe even earlier for those that don't have exact dates on them. So Sung Dynasty, pretty old, with paper appearing in something like what was it? First printed text on paper is 8th century, and first dated book, the Diamond Sutra, is 9th century. So pretty soon after that, you can go there and look at all 150 of them. I highly recommend to go through Japanese, Iranian, and Georgian ones. And let me show you just a few examples from the website. And perhaps since I've started anyway, I'll show you what I saw on the exhibition. So I was really, really impressed by the Iranian or Persian examples. They were quite late. So 19th century for most of them, but they were the only ones with an autochthonous tradition of bookbinding. And I really like this nice example, and you can see immediately that it is a binding for a poetry book, which is very appropriate, and even better this one. This is Qajar period. That's a ruling dynasty of Persia from late 18th to late 19th century, and this is a typical example of what they produced at the time. Painting on lacquer with lacquer covering it on top. And if we go, I think we can go inside the book. You can see just how exotic and how unfamiliar this all looks. I mean, when I look at this page as a whole, I don't even know where to start. So, is this the title of the book or the page, or is this the author's name? And then why are there two directions of the text? Uh, are they even all read from left to right? I think so. It's Persian, so from left to right. I'm not sure, but then it goes even wilder. I mean, uh, look at that. Here's a one small fragment, and we have three directions of text. And I think they are even in different scripts, because this big part looks somewhat flowier, structured somewhat differently than this one. So this is a text with commentaries. In that regard, it's a familiar format. I mean, marginalia, like Talmudic tradition or biblical scholars use this format all the time. But why like that? I have no idea. I'm about to find out, because I've left my contacts for the curator of the exhibition, who is also the center's main specialist in Persian books. And just 2 hours ago, he answered me, and I hope we'll be able to talk to him on our podcast. That would be really nice.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So here is another example. Also Persian, at least I think so. Yes, yes, definitely. How does that work? And I think it's a rather impressive example of a miniature. Again, typical for Qajar art, or Kahar art, as it's pronounced. You can see this interplay of local traditions and European influences. They honestly tried to make it look like an actual room. There is some kind of perspective, but I don't know. It gives me this slightly uncanny feeling. Is he flying? Is he sitting? Is the one wall behind him, or is this the floor, or is this the floor too? But I also like that he has a book, a printed book, clearly, and probably a notebook, and also his writing, and also his smoking, because this is a book about wine and pleasures and all that.
And
again,
obviously a VHS tape as well.
You mean this one? Yeah. So this is probably the author's portrait. Yeah, it's and again we see this carpet approach to the page. Paper is expensive. Let's not leave anything unfilled with text.
I don't think paper was so expensive at
No,
that
it wasn't.
moment of time already.
Yeah.
What's some?
That's the library of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
It was transferred to this center like 80 years ago, and so many of the books there have this stamp. A few months back, I went to see the world's oldest printed Quran, like printed by Muslims. Yes, that's right. The world's oldest Quran printed by Muslims. And the oldest Quran,
which I think we already mentioned, and which and that event happened not really a long time ago, which is quite impressive.
1810,
and in Russia.
And in Russia, and these books, the previous one and this one, were printed before that, it's 1790s, I think. But in one of the first, or perhaps even the first typography in the Muslim world. But they never printed Quran there. They printed romances, they printed astronomical texts, and the like. So this is this kind of book. And now
To
for
go
something
through
completely
Japanese, Iranian,
different, one
and
of the
Georgian
oldest
ones. And let me show.
Georgian printed books.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in its best shape, but you can still see what they could do in late 18th, early 19th century. It sort of reminds me of Russia's first experiments with printing. Everything is not botched, but not perfect. Uh, they're still learning their trade. I do like the alphabet, but it tries to emulate a manuscript, but it looks very wooden. But it also kerning is all over the place. But they already have two colors, so it's impressive, and it's also one of the first edition of their classics. I forgot to check what it's called in English, but it's Knight in a Tiger's Skin. And let me show you a few more pages. Here is an author's portrait. And here, even if it had no Georgian writing on it, you could tell it's a book from the Caucasus. It's a very recognizable type. Then I wanted to show you, and this book you should totally go and see, and browse for yourself. This is Mirror of the World. This genre is called. We had a lot of them in Europe, but by which I mean in Western Europe. But there were also many examples written and then printed in also in Europe, but in Constantinople, in Istanbul by that time. Obviously, it's really difficult for me to call Istanbul Europe, even though it is, and it used to be the biggest city of Europe for so many years, but still. And this encyclopedia in many books includes some passages that were clearly hand painted. And here you can see that in Istanbul they had no problem producing books that were successfully mimicking manuscripts. I mean, unless you look at it from really up close, it's not immediately obvious that it's printed. And it has such marvelous illustrations. Where was it? Oh, I lost it. Sorry. Here it is. Many of them of astronomical nature, and as most astronomical texts and most scientific texts of the era, even when printed in Ottoman Empire, they are in Arabic. Most of the stars, even in English and in Russian, have Arabic names, so that's like Beetlejuice is not Beetlejuice, yeah, it's Betelgeuse,
Yeah.
etc. And I really like illustrations in this one.
I was quite surprised when I heard that English speakers call it Beetlejuice, and I was so used to calling it Betelgeuse in Russian. So I'm happy that Russian pronunciation is closer to what it should be.
Well, again, it's not perfect, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And here is a really fun one. Here's the map of the night sky, and it's both naive and recognizable. This is Orion, I assume. This is the Great Bear, the Serpent, whatever this is. I think this hair of Berenike, I forget the names. And here are the zodiac signs. We recently featured an Uzbek manuscript with some very similar
amazing illustrations.
Yeah. So do go and browse this one. It's immense fun. I mean,
I posted the link both on Facebook and YouTube, so you can find it there.
And also,
is it only in Russian, the website, or there is some
yes, unfortunately it's only in Russian, but it's very intuitive.
Anyway, modern browser translation offers you enough to browse the collection.
And also, if you press the images and then you press the arrows, and at some point you'll find this, which is a hokusai. They only just started with the hokusai. I think they scanned only one just as an example, because I know for a fact that they have almost all he ever produced. Hokusai was collected all through the late 19th century, and then it was stolen by the Soviet government from the collectors, and we have everything you need to know. And the quality is real good. It's a relatively late hokusai, so from 1830s, I think, and it's one of those wonderful sets of inventions. He takes myths, he takes creatures from local law and local shrines. He takes scenes from epic poetry, and it just never ends. I really love it. I mean, look at this fella. It's not gonna end well. He is throwing a mountain. I'm pretty sure of that.
So this teaser can be definitely shared separately as a separate video, because we discussed quite a lot while you are teasing our next live stream, which probably will happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I'll probably stop here. Yeah.
Thanks for the warning. It's okay. So Carla sent us another message on Facebook. Clarification: postmark is stamped over a stamp. Franking is a stamp that also suffices for postage. So when you put a stamp on your envelope or a package, it should be stamped with a postmark, with the rubber postmark or something, and that's a bit different process. Yeah. But anyway, we wouldn't talk more about it, because we're not experts. We are so far away from this topic, so that even if we try to say something, we will make 10 mistakes in just one statement. So
you do have a collection of book-related stamps. We should probably talk to someone who could tell us a bit about stamps. I mean,
yeah, probably, yeah, and show my collection, because since the last time I posted anything about it on iBookBinding, it grew. I think it doubled or something. Not that there are many stamps there, but more than before. So thanks to everyone who stayed with us until the very end. It's very nice of you, and we hope to see you next time in 2 weeks. Though next time we are streaming in the morning, probably if nothing changes and if our schedules allow that, as usual, we try to split the streaming time, so that's one week people from the Americas can join us, and from Europe, obviously, and the other week people from Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and this part of the world can join us, and we'll see. We will definitely talk about this visit to the museum that Pavel had. We also had something to discuss, some more things to discuss about the questionnaire we sent to our to the guests of our podcast, where they shared with us their impressions of the most interesting bookish people, tools, and other things. They shared some news and some info there, and I think it would be interesting to discuss it. So at least spend some 10 to 15 minutes on that topic. I also visited some museums, and we started driving around France since we finally got our car. I bought some bookish objects, and I want to show them to you. And we visited some places, and I saw some bookish sculptures and more of that stuff. So there is a lot of things to talk. Even if we started live streaming every week instead of bi-weekly, we will still have enough stuff to talk about. And we need to finally return to news at some moment. That's something we really want to do. Anyway, if you have any questions, please post them. You can do that even after the end of this recording, because the videos will be published on YouTube and Facebook, and we always can return to you and answer your questions, or maybe answer them during our next live stream. Please consider joining the group of our patrons on Patreon. You can find the link in the description below, or in the description of the event or of the video on Facebook. That's really important to us, and we have a lot of plans for 2022. So if you can share some of your money with us, even the pledges start with $1, £1, or €1. So I hope that's not too much on a monthly basis, but you will help our project quite a lot. Thank you, and as usual, we'll stay for a bit longer until cached part of our live stream ends and the video stops streaming on Facebook and Instagram.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks again to everybody.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. We should also talk about